Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Spider-Man Noir, issue number 1. Um, you know, can we keep the love fest to themselves and just have a good comic book? I don't know. And there was some good in this comic book. And I'm going to give credit where credit is due when I get ready to give credit where credit's due. That although the writer is a very interesting special case study, he is a really good writer when he chooses to just be a good writer. Unfortunately, yeah, things happen. Let's get talking about all that good stuff. First, here's where credit is due. So this is called the Gwen Stacy affair. ERIK Larsen is the writer. Andrea Broccardo is the artist, and Rachel Rosenberg doing the color art. VC's Joe Sabino on letters. Simon DeMeo on cover. Bunch of variant covers out there, including one by Eric. And Spider-Man, the original, and this one apparently, was created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. So, look, the opening for this comic book, you don't need a forward, right? There is zero need for a forward when the writer is this good at telling us what's been happening. I don't care if you're the oldest. I mean, you don't have to be that old to like Spider-Man Noir. But, I mean, he's a new enough character. But so much has happened to him because of the Spider-Verse and whatnot that, yeah, you'd otherwise need a forward to explain what's been happening recently. Nope, no need. ERIK Larsen brilliantly educates us in a very engaging way. Hey, this is what's been happening. You know, hey, I've been away, not just out of the country, but out of the universe in different dimensions, a Spider-Verse, if you will. And I've even been hanging out with a talking spider pig, you know? A lot of really good stuff in here, which explains everything, why his rent is due and all that other stuff, right? He lost his apartment and now he's stuck living in his office sleeping in a cot underneath a desk that's not even his. All of it, really good stuff. Like all and most of it in the beginning, the rest of it when it's time for us to understand these things. We now know what we need to know about this character, and I love that. Absolutely love it. I'm going to argue very few comic book writers are capable of doing that. But Larsen's been around the block a couple of times, right? He knows how to pull that off, and that's brilliant. The story, brilliant. He's fighting off a bunch of people. There's a scorpion gang that's out there. I love the way they're drawn. Andre does an incredible job of drawing these characters. It's a simple little mask that goes over like a bandana that goes over their mask, like a criminal, like a cop and robber, right? And it's red, but it's got this black silhouetted scorpion right underneath the nose. And it's like it's really done well, right? The cop that was laying there was not done well, but everything else in the comic book done very well, right? And I'm sitting here and I'm reading this and I'm really engaged and I want to read more. It's 1939. That's established in here. Yes, there's going to be some Nazi party stuff. That's questionable sometimes, but I get it. It makes sense. And then there's the story of, Peter's got to pay his rent and who should come walking into my private investigator office but Gwendolyn, right? Gwen Stacy. And her father, Captain Stacy, has just been killed and his body was pulled out of the East River. And yeah, it looks like it was cops who done it. That's not looking so good, right? But it's a brilliant story. And Spider-Man's going to go out and try and figure this stuff out. Multiple times he's got to try and break into the police morgue. The police are coming after him. He's got to handle bitterness. He has a conversation about the guns. Aunt May is giving him a hard time about using guns. We know that Aunt May knows that he's Spider-Man Noir, right? All of this stuff. And it's brilliant the way this goes on. And if it were just what I explained, including I don't want to spoil it, but the little thing that you can kind of guess that's going to happen in this comic book, the ending, yeah, I'm looking forward to issue number 2, and I'm sure I'm going to read issue number 2. But this comic book doesn't come without problems. Problems that were easily avoided by having a more diverse crew in Marvel. Oh, I know. Marvel's SJW and da 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 da. I know. But I mean diversity of thought. See, Marvel is a big echo chamber. And it's been like that for a while. And it doesn't matter who the CEO is. It doesn't matter who's in charge of whatever. Like every single time Marvel has been bought and sold, does the new owner fire all the heads of, whoever? Do they come in and do a clean sweep or start picking out like, hey, you're a problem, you're ineffective, you're a failure? Do they come in and do that? No. It's the exact same people that have been working there over multiple different owners and whatnot. And now that Disney's in charge, there's absolutely no reason for them to change. You see, it's a very easy thing to boycott a movie or to boycott just an idea. It's a shame. I really did like the Superman and the Fantastic Four movies. I really did like them. I thought they were done very well, but the MCU has gotten themselves into a position where they're trying to answer to Hollywood and obey Hollywood instead of obeying the fans that are actually paying them money. And they're trying to rub elbows with people who I wouldn't want to touch with a 10-foot pole. I mean, we're talking about the Eric Weinsteins and all the other people like that, diddlers, right? Really filthy people. And Kevin Feige and Disney would rather, rub elbow with these people instead of listen to their actual audience. Okay, cool. You can keep on having bankrupted films then, because an idea is an idea and we understand what the idea is. We didn't like what they were doing with, I apologize. We didn't like what they were doing with Shang-Chi, right? They had to make sure it's Shang-Chi. It's Shang-Chi because that's how we've always said it. Shut up. Seriously, shut up. You could correct that in the movie and have it be a very simple thing where, hey, it's actually Shang-Chi. I get it. I know how it's spelled, sir, but just, it's Shang. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Thanks for letting me know. Very simple thing. It speaks to the audience. We can all sit there and be like, oh, cool. But instead you got to sit here and educate us. Shut up. Shut up. The freaking, what's his name? Why am I forgetting his name? Jim Starlin. Jim Starlin calls him Shang-Chi, or Shang-Chi. To this day, I'm saying to this day, he calls him Shang-Chi, for crying out loud. And he quit after the first issue when he realized it was a racist comic book. They were going to make it into a racist comic book. Look, I'm just saying, okay? You don't have to freaking preach to us all the time. But that's exactly what you get in Marvel. There are a bunch of people in a circle jerk who are constantly doing this stuff, and they're hiring all their friends to do all these things and giving them contracts, and I'm laughing to myself. What the heck is going on here? Look, I get it. There were Nazis back in the day, but to sit there and constantly remind us at every single moment that there was a bund of Nazi Americans, specifically in New York and whatnot, yeah, I think those of us who care know already. And it's a lot, there's a lot more details and nuance involved in that, but hey, who cares? We got to sit here and point out that people are bad, right? God, the preaching in this that you're always going to get in Marvel, right? Yeah, he just looking for a reason to use the word fascist in a comic book. So he has a Nazi in a bat mask with a pair of metallic wings, well, metal wings, and he's flying around so he can yell out, "You flying fascist?" Yes, we know fascists are horrible people, but this is the same guy who also wrote Savage Dragon and have him leave America and move to Canada because he doesn't like Trump. So basically Savage Dragon is Rosie O'Donnell, right? Moving to Scotland to avoid her arch nemesis. It's like Robert De Niro. He played the Godfather, like the actual original Godfather in Godfather 2, man. He was Vito Corleone, baby. And he's out there, yeah, I think Trump was going to kill me. This is Raging Bull? It's Raging Bull something, that's for sure. Like, what happened? That we've got weak people with stupid heads and stupid faces writing these comic books in a circle jerk with each other, hanging out in an echo chamber, and like, let's preach to the people some stuff. I love Dan Slott. Love Dan Slott. One of the absolute best to ever do it. And I get it. I get wanting to give love, but like, this only proves my point when ERIK Larsen has Spider-Man go and say something to the effect of, hey, make sure that when you spell my name, you add a hyphen in there. Yes, could you fillet your friend outside of the comic book, not in? Because this is just really pathetic. Look, this shouldn't bother me so much if that were all it were. If that is all it were. I was going to say was, but were, right? I said if, therefore it has to be were, not was. But you're constantly seeing this stuff, this echo chamber of silliness. And the main thing that bothers me is the idea that here's this self-professed lefty, a leftard, if you will, not because not all lefties are equal. They're lefties, they're leftards. And this guy decides to change the way Spider-Man Peter Parker speaks in this with no explanation given. And he could have simply said, oh, it rubbed off, and I could understand a little bit, but this isn't the gritty, hard-nosed Spider-Man from before. This is basically our Peter Parker in the standard Earth 616 universe, who now comes over to Spider-Man Noir's timeline, and now he's just living there. He's cracking all the jokes, being really silly, not taking anything seriously. He can't pay his rent, and, you know, it's just like, it's not the same Spider-Man Noir that we used to have. Here's the worst part about the comic book. A cop is shot. I mentioned it earlier, that it's a very horrible image. It looks like somebody else just superimposed the image. This cop laying down in this really weird, awkward position with gaping bullet hole, like he was shot with a freaking shotgun. That's how big the holes are. They're like this big, you know? Boom. And then the little blood, you know, starfish around it. And Spider-Man is making jokes about tripping over the body and slipping in the blood. I just got finished reading New Avengers issue number 5 prior to this. And I complained about the idea, well, just go and check out that video so I'm not repeating myself, of what they were doing in that comic book. And now we've got more of the same here. An innocent person has been killed. And there's no sympathy, no heartache, no anger, nothing. Even worse, cracking jokes about this. God help all of us who want to just read good comics and not see our heroes losing their heroic humanity. ERIK Larsen is a great writer. He just needs to get the hell out of his own way, because this man could be legendary. No, this guy is basically just the forgotten, him and Weiss Portacio, right? Just forgotten in image for the most part. Whilst because, like, as great as he is, he's off doing his own thing, right? Never actually did his own comic book there. But you got ERIK Larsen, who just, he can't politically get out of his own way. He's got to sit there and preach to us like he thinks he's some kind of a prophet. Grow some facial hair. That's the first step into thinking that, or being a believable prophet. Like the video, watch an ad. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.